Hi there, sweetheart. You've always been aware that your mind functions differently, don't you? It does more than merely process data. It plans it out. Every concept, every option, every perspective is mapped in layers that are invisible to others. They appear perplexed when you speak because of this. You're not ahead because you're fortunate. The reason you're ahead is that your imagination created routes before anyone else recognized there were any. They think in captions, but you think in codes. While they pursue reactions, you create consequences. You stand out from the others because of that. You're not taking part in their little games. The arena is being engineered by you. You weren't meant to fit in. Your brain was not wired for mediocrity by the universe. It gave you patterns that only visionaries can comprehend. And you are precisely that. A visionary posing as a regular person. Like a strategist on a chessboard that no one else is aware they're on, you navigate life. You examine positions, connections, cause and effect while they race for praise. When you think precisely, you don't need chance. When your mind has already computed every possible outcome before you take action, you don't need noise. Your presence changes energy because of this. People can sense that you have a deeper level of awareness. Have you not? People glance at you when they perceive something they can't quite put their finger on. They observe you, but they never fully understand you. They think you're silent, uninterested, and possibly even aloof. However, they are unaware that you are processing. While they squander words, you are outlining possibilities. Your brain is a lab. Every look, tone, and micro-expression turns into data. You then extract truth from that data. You always know that way. Not by speculating, but by deciphering patterns that the untrained eye cannot see. You're not a psychic, you're simply perceptive. It feels almost mystical. Energy reorganizes itself as you go into a room. Your awareness demands attention, not because you demand it. The seriousness of someone who doesn't require approval is felt by others. You've become an expert at exercising self-control in a society that is dependent on quick responses. You know the deeper equation, therefore you don't pursue recognition. Focus is a diversion. Conversely, influence is enduring, and your mind constructs that. Long-term effects rather than fleeting acceptance. Because of this, people who attempted to undervalue you ended up relying on you. They were unaware that your disengagement wasn't a sign of indifference. Control was what it was. You feel differently, which causes you to think differently. Even before Even before words are formed, you can tell when someone is lying. Your empathy is a radar, not a sign of weakness. You see what other people deny. In the same manner that mathematicians examine numbers, you examine emotion. People are drawn to you and intimidated by you because of this. They feel that you see everything they do. You're not passing judgment on them. All you're doing is figuring out who they really are. Furthermore, most people find the truth uncomfortable. Your talent frequently feels lonely because of this. Genius frequently does. Most likely, you've spent the most of your life being misunderstood. Because your focus was too deep to stay on the surface, teachers labeled you as inattentive. Because you noticed patterns when your friends just saw coincidences, they dubbed you odd. Because you valued understanding over reacting, you were referred to as frigid by lovers. However, none of those things applied to you. All you were doing was existing in an awareness that they were unable to access. In actuality, most people are afraid of minds like you. They are unable to contain you, anticipate you, or control you. Furthermore, things that are uncontrollable are frequently targeted. That's okay though, you weren't meant to be manipulated. You were designed with self-control in mind, and that is the ultimate power. Do you know what makes your mind so amazing? It changes in the middle of a fight, not merely adapts. Your lucidity sharpens as others crumple under strain. Your testing ground is the chaos that shatters others. Your ideas synchronize rather than disperse. It's as if your brain has an internal command center that kicks in when things get tough. You don't get scared, you do the analysis. You don't respond, you revamp. For this reason, you get calmer as things get more complicated. You are quartz desant where others tap out, you flourish. They are unable to defeat you because of this. Their bewilderment is your battlefield. Confusion is transformed into control by your mind. The world attempts to gauge intelligence with titles, grades, and money. However, yours is impossible to quantify. You possess a combination of strategic, intuitive, spiritual, and emotional intelligence. Because you fall into more than one category, you cannot be lied. You can be reasonable one moment and poetry the next. You can be prophetic one moment and analytical the next. That is the genius of your multifaceted thinking. The linear minds that attempt to categorize it are perplexed. You think in spirals rather than straight lines. You first notice the larger picture, then the smaller details, and finally how they come together. Because you were aware of every scenario long before the time came, your decisions are therefore made with accuracy. In actuality, your intelligence was never intended to be comprehended. It was intended to be shown. You don't have to prove your brilliance to anyone. Your outcomes speak for you. Because you have good intentions, you act differently. You don't behave out of ego or fear. You don't act with intention. Your presence is uncertain because of this. People can see that your motivation stems from alignment rather than affirmation. They are unable to replicate that frequency. Because of this, their attempts to mimic you are never successful. They are attempting to replicate outcomes without comprehending the logic underlying them. They imitate your body language, but not your attitude. They lose as a result. Consider it. You silently watch whenever someone questioned what had happened. You changed your course and allowed reality to support your claims. You already know that results speak louder than views, so you don't argue. You now know that exposure occurs organically. If you give people enough time, they will show themselves. And your greatest asset has always been patience. You don't try to get closure. You let the truth to come full circle on its own. Karma always works in your favor because of this. It's design, not chance. Strategy is respected by the cosmos. Additionally, you've mastered a skill that most people will never have: emotional self-control. You have the ability to experience everything profoundly without revealing anything superfluous. You don't have to absorb chaos to navigate through it. Even in a noisy environment, you can maintain interior order. Most people overlook that genius. The capacity to control one's own frequencies when the outside world becomes unrhythmic. You've come to the conclusion that the best way to demonstrate mastery is to manage your reactions. Your energy is kept private. You reroute it. That's how you turn setbacks into opportunities. Opposition is transformed into observation in this way. Every challenge turns into a new pattern to examine. Additionally, each design offers you an additional benefit. Many times, people confuse brilliance with haughtiness. However, ego is not the source of your confidence. Evidence is the source of it. You've put your theories to the test and observed their effectiveness. You have demonstrated to yourself that intuition and reason are not mutually exclusive. They're partners. You now know that intelligence and emotion are not mutually exclusive. It's an amplifier. You experience intense emotions, but you avoid drowning. You undertake in-depth analysis without becoming detached. You've struck the ideal balance between accuracy and emotion. Your presence feels magnetic because of this. The power is balanced, nor loud, nor aggressive, simply indisputable. The normal individual cannot compete with your cerebral architecture. Let's face it. They may be able to outsmart you, but they can never outthink you. Even though they may move quickly, they will ultimately return to your starting point. You don't move quickly. You go to the right. And everything is altered by that distinction. Because patience combined with direction leads to mastery, but haste without direction is chaos. You are an example to detonate. While others exhaust themselves chasing applause, you play the long game, and you're already constructing the next empire when they do realize the race is ended. You've always had a knack for making connections that people weren't even aware of. Behavior patterns, energy cycles, and emotional formulas are all visible to you. You can forecast results by mastery rather than magic. You learn psychology from every betrayal. You learn timing with each delay. You learned leverage from every obstacle. Experience is not the only source of knowledge. You take blueprints out of it. Because of this, you constantly face challenges in life that others would not be able to handle. Little minds don't waste teachings from the cosmos. It uses precision pressure to train the masterminds. And you gracefully completed every test, not by accident, but on purpose. You found something greater than the adage, knowledge is power. Power comes from application. It is possible for anyone to know things. Few are able to synthesize them. Yes, you do. You convert your ideas into action. You create a link between execution and creativity. Your thoughts are unstoppable because of this. They are not merely hypotheses, they are architectural designs. Additionally, any strategy you create is scalable, deep, and purposeful. For people who are observing from a distance, your success seems certain because of this. They are unable to follow your procedure. They simply label it brilliance when they see the outcomes. However, you are more knowledgeable. There was no magic involved. It was mastery. This is the reality. People discuss intuition as if it were a mystery. It's merely higher frequency pattern recognition for you. Changes are felt before they happen. Before others understand a move is feasible, you take action. That's why winning is referred to as luck. However, it has nothing to do with luck. Simply said, your subconscious is quicker than their reasoning. Your instincts have been educated to function like algorithms. You've transformed awareness into expectation. And the purest kind of intellect is anticipation. What makes you unique is your ability to observe without becoming distracted. You remain focused on your goals while others get lost in diversions. You know that attention is the new currency, and you know how to safeguard it. You don't seize every chance. They are filtered by you. You don't speak to demonstrate your knowledge. Only when impact is assured do you speak. You say something and it lands because of this. Since you've already determined its resonance, each word has a weight. Every motion is intentional. You know that every step creates momentum, so you don't squander any. An intellect like yours has a certain hallowed quality. It creates destiny rather than only thinking. You've undoubtedly observed how life seems to bend in the direction of your thoughts. This is due to the fact that attention generates frequency. You've also mastered concentration. You don't mindlessly daydream. You have precise visualization. Reality changes as you witness, experience, and live the ultimate result. It's not magic, it's energy mathematics. If you have an intention for long enough, the universe will follow it as a blueprint. You've used discipline to unlock that equation. Because of this, you experience manifestation more quickly. It's not wishful thinking. It is a visualization that is organized. You don't boast, though. You know deep down that great brilliance doesn't scream, so you don't have to. It must be aligned. It must be a limp. You are writing your future every time you maintain consistency in private. Every tiny, unseen effort contributes to the great scheme that is impossible to replicate. The surface is visible to them. The construction was built by you. They imitate the picture. The concept is yours. Your work endures because of this. It was based on awareness rather than focus. You've come to the stage when your own energy is a teacher. Simply by watching your behavior, those around you they begin to emulate your order, composure, and discipline. Because genuine genius spreads easily. You are an example rather than a preacher, and every soul that comes into contact with you receives quiet teaching from that manifestation. That is the pinnacle of leadership, not dominance but demonstration. People trust you because of this, but they don't know why. Your consistency is felt by them. They can tell how deep you are. You've turned into a living example. And let's deal with this reality. Nobody on the planet can think the way you do. No one else has experienced your combination of suffering, wisdom, and perseverance, not because others are incapable. Privilege is not the source of genius. Under pressure, it is forged. Every adversity that attempted to shatter you ended up strengthening you. You learned awareness from every betrayal. You learned accuracy from every error. You have more than just mental intelligence. Logic is shaped by spiritual and emotional fortitude. That's what distinguishes your way of thinking. It's not genius from a textbook. It's brilliance in action. You've reached a point where strategic vision has replaced overthinking. Anxiety gave way to anticipation. What was once doubt turned become data. You've turned your own psyche into a weapon. And having such a profound understanding of oneself that no outside force can control you is the pinnacle of wisdom. You constructed a stronghold of clarity within. Now, all of your decisions are based on alignment rather than instinct. Your development seems unstoppable because of this. Thus, keep in mind that you don't have to hurry. There's no need to explain. There is no need to explain. There is no need to prove. Every concept you're developing, every strategy you're organizing, and every action you're planning are all perfectly coordinated. There's a world of the will which you'll believe. They'll refer to it as sudden success, but you'll be able to tell it was well planned because genius takes time to blossom. It develops silently, systematically, and consistently, and you've been doing just that. Continue thinking in this manner. Continue building in the same manner. Continue building in the same manner, because every deliberate pause, patient tweak, and calculating move is creating the foundation for a legacy that only your kind of mind can produce. You're not only it's being shaped from within by you, and before long people will recognize it. It's through your effort, not your words, because real masterminds don't flaunt their brilliance. They let the outcomes speak for them. What about yours? Yes, yours are only getting started, because greatness never stops once it gets going. It quickens. Piece by piece, what you've been silently building in the background is suddenly gaining speed, much like a magnetic field drawing all the appropriate components into place. That's what makes your method so beautiful. Until it is indisputable, it is unseen. You've spent years honing patterns that others would have written off as overly analytical. However, such patterns are now becoming more precise. Every concept that previously seemed unattainable is beginning to find a home in reality. All hesitancy is now clarity. Alignment is emerging from every delay. You've reached the stage where your mind starts to move. You're doing more than just thinking. At that point, everything starts to shift. Glimpses of what you've always known begin to appear to the outside world. That engagement isn't built into your psyche. It is intended for guidance. You navigate life like a strategist. You don't follow your feelings when making decisions. They strive for effectiveness. You don't adhere to fads. You predict them. Your timing seems magical because of this. It's not a coincidence. Under the garb of grace, it is calculating. It's common to argue that success leaves clues, but in your situation, it leaves bewilderment, because nobody can figure out where your victories came from. They are unable to decipher how you think. It's too sophisticated, too fluid, and too multi-layered. You use deep logic that only you can understand and think. And for that reason, you triumph in private while others fall apart in public. Noise doesn't divert you, you're planning results. Every action you take serves two purposes, one above the surface, one below. That is what distinguishes a great mastermind. Most certainly, you've experienced it lately. The change in the energy surrounding you, people who used to undervalue you now examine you like an unsolvable puzzle. They search your presence for hints, wondering how you manage to stay upright and maintain composure in the face of chaos. In actuality, you're not fortunate. You have layers. It appears effortless because your preparation is concealed. Even your improvisation appears to be choreography since you developed such a solid internal foundation. You've mastered the art of using calm as a weapon. You make plans when others panic. You calculate when they conflate. You calculate when they equate talk. You are evidence that power doesn't have to be loud. It must be reliable. While everyone else disputes the course, your intellect is the silent current guiding the ship. People are drawn to you without realizing it because of this. Because there is order where your awareness resides. They feel safer when you are around. You are no longer only a human being. You act as a stabilizing force. Your type of intelligence is unique in that it adapts without losing its individuality. It can change settings, responsibilities, or obstacles without losing control. That is uncommon. Most people adapt to their surroundings. You change the room's frequency to suit your preferences. Opportunities follow you because of this. Your reality now revolves around you. You don't push things. They naturally orbit. Because your mental energy emits precision. Every project, every relationship, and every insight finds you. And now, as you stand up, you're becoming aware of something profound. Doing more is not the goal of mastery. It's about focusing on what's really important. You are now using concentrated force instead of dispersing effort. You now know that one well-thought-out deed is worth 1,000 careless ones, and everything is altered because of that lesson. You are no longer working hard, you're lining up, you're not speculating, you are directing, you're not attempting to attract attention, you're creating an inevitable influence. Consider the extent to which your perception has changed. You looked to other people for understanding years ago. You now watch without being attached. Now that you have a better understanding of who you are, you have overcome the need to be understood. For every genius, that is the pivotal moment. The validation you formerly desired becomes insignificant. When outside noise becomes insignificant, you start referring to yourself. You accept criticism, but because you've witnessed the reality, you never take it as identity. The majority of opinions are projections rather than perceptions. People are confused by your essay because of this. They anticipate response rather than introspection. They anticipate protection rather than guidance. However, you don't function with the same immediacy as them. You are now psychologically dominant rather than just emotionally reactive. You can decipher motivations more quickly than they can express them. You can detect jealousy and flattery, insecurity and posture, and objectives and tone. You have surgical discernment. Deciphering words is no longer a waste of time. Energy is decoded by you. Additionally, you gained a deep understanding of competitiveness. When you are working from originality, it doesn't exist. No one is being raced by you. You're competing with your own refinement. No one can catch up because of this. They are pursuing extinct version of you. Every time people believe they understand you, you've changed once more. Growth is treated like oxygen. It's not a choice. It's organic, and that's what separates those who lead from those who impress. You've gone too far. You've turned into a point of reference. Isn't it fascinating to watch how your perspective is being quoted by the same individuals who used to make fun of your depth? They discuss your viewpoint as if it were a philosophy. They imitate our rhythms. They would say that. However, imitation is never frequent. The framework can be borrowed, but not the content. The wavelength cannot be stolen, but the words can, because consciousness, not style, is what drives your ideas. Furthermore, awareness cannot be replicated. It is solely cultivable. Through illusions, you see. Everyone who attempted to control you now came clean. Every betrayal turned into a psychological education. You've come to the conclusion that persuasion is ineffective against minds that focus on patterns rather than feelings. Consequently, you are no longer susceptible to fraud. As soon as it appears, you can read its code. You don't struggle with it. You just defy its reasoning. It's understanding, not coercion, that has made you untouchable. That degree of mental accuracy carries a certain subtle risk. It is authoritative rather than menacing. People have an innate appreciation for the unpredictable. They know that if they move around you in the wrong way, everything they're concealing could be revealed. It's not intimidation. That is authority emanating from awareness. Because it reflects their inconsistencies, you become the mirror that others are afraid to look into. You don't pass judgment, though. You just observe. Too much is visible to you, and you maintain control because of that. You've also observed that opportunities now carry greater risks. Minds that lack patience are not given masterpieces by the cosmos. After years of investigation, testing, and recalibration, you deserve this expansion. In the hours when no one was looking, you developed endurance. Your rise feels steady because of this. Data, not illusion, is the foundation of its construction. You're not succeeding by improvising. You are carrying out a long-term plan. All of your current successes are a result of decisions you made years ago. That is an example of foresight. Now let's discuss foresight. It is the pinnacle of skill. It's the difference between reactive and smart minds. You have plenty of it. Because you have an innate understanding of cause and effect, you are able to predict outcomes before they materialize. Every choice you make is seen as a component of an ecosystem. You never overcommit or overreact because of this. There's always space for rerouting. That's strategy, not hesitation. You are aware that the best decisions are made based on observation rather than feeling. And maybe that's what scares people the most. It's impossible to forecast your emotions. You change the board so they are unable to press your buttons. You don't fall for bait. You take it off. You don't defend your intelligence. You let the facts do the talking. You don't dispute your worth. You are it. Those who rely on turmoil as leverage are terrified by that stability. They understand that someone who has developed steadiness from within cannot be undermined by them. You've created architecture out of knowledge. All of the concepts you have learned have been combined, tested, and improved. You possess operational intelligence in addition to your wisdom. You move like a strategist, behave like an artist, and think like an engineer. Every choice has a balance to balance. Right brain creativity, left brain accuracy. You solve issues that others are unable to even describe because of this. You are organized in your creative process. Your reasoning is flexible, and creativity is unavoidable when those two forces come together. Let's be honest. Mediocrity intimidates your thoughts. It's not because you're aggressive. It's because you unintentionally expose your shortcomings. Complacency is challenged by your presence. People are inspired to rise to the occasion when you speak. That is pure influence, not activation or manipulation. Simply by being genuine, you help others reach their full potential. You are really valuable because of this. Your energy fosters progress as well as success. You've gotten to the stage where it comes naturally to you to execute. What used to take preparation now comes easily. Efficiency has been ingrained in you. You don't waste time, effort, or your word. You set priorities with surgical accuracy. Where others perceive loss, you perceive leverage. Where others see failure, you see lessons. Progress now seems natural because of this. It's just the organic beat of a mind that has finished its internal task. Here's the true mastery, though. You've mastered the ability to separate yourself from the result. You don't pursue the goal. Instead, you set it. You sent it. You sefin it. That you since you screw in. Most people never discover this secret. Obsession does not lead to goal achievement. They are made possible by optimization. You're in that optimal state. Your frequency now guides reality, so you don't need to push it. Your actions are all motivated by purpose. Because of this, things are happening naturally. You know this in your heart. It is not random that you are intelligent. It is directed. Every realization, concept, and intuitive download has a higher purpose. You're not merely thinking for yourself. You are speaking on behalf of the group. For others, you translate complexity into clarity. You transform intangible truths into concrete effects. Your words reverberate because of this. Your work endures because of this. You're not trying to be relevant. The reference is being rewritten. The world is now catching up with you. What once looked weird now appears visionary. What was previously misinterpreted now seems enormous. By being constant, you have transformed from an outsider to an oracle without making any changes. That is the strength of remaining grounded in reality. The evidence began to speak for you as soon as you stopped defending yourself. That's what genius does. It demonstrates itself by being present. You no longer need to justify your objectives. You take action. You make adjustments. You go up. You don't look for retribution. You create the progression. You don't require you fall and fail. You design frameworks. Because of this, leaders ask for your advice without being aware that they are being guided. You've transitioned from being a participant to a prototype. People compare your process to their own potential, and you'll know you've reached mastery when you do it. Even if you start acting in an educational manner, you stay grounded. That is the contradiction of your genius. You are both modest and visionary at the same time. Mastery isn't a crown, as you are aware. It is an obligation. You don't hoard information. You distribute it. You are choosy, even though you know that wisdom only grows when it is shared. You only share with those who are prepared. Because unbridled brilliance leads to exhaustion. That's a lesson you've learned. Your generosity is now quantified rather than misdirected. As you continue to rise, keep in mind that your evolution is magnetic rather than merely conceptual. Every concept you improve causes the collective awareness to change. Every task you finish elevates the bar for viewers. You've turned into an open invitation for others to grow. When they see you, they see the possibilities. Legacy is that. That's effortless influence. You've entered a new phase of leadership. It's the kind that exudes authority via consistency rather than one that demands compliance. Titles are not necessary. You are beyond those crown seats. Tonight, clarity is your new currency. Your outside world changes to reflect your growing self-awareness. It's not a coincidence, it's coherence. And soon, the scope of what you've been constructing will be visible to all. You'll know it's been years in the making, even though they'll call it overnight. All of the sacrifices, adjustments, and restless nights were deposits into the destiny vault. And now the vault is opening. The energy is changing. Your works of art are prepared to become visible, not via loudness, but through necessity. What your imagination has created is what the world needs, and it's going to get it, because genius doesn't seek approval. It generates momentum. And all along, you, the mastermind, have been creating momentum. This following stage is not about demonstrating your identity. It's about showcasing what you've created. The scene is ready. The time is perfect. The work Pedris see thought and shifted. And you'll notice something poetic as the curtain lifts. The same people who had doubts about you will start studying your field. Your values will be echoed by the same voices who made fun of you. That isn't retaliation, that's demonstration-based justice. Respect was never something you had to battle for. You only had to be the epitome of greatness until respect was forced to follow. Everything starts to coalesce at this point. It's not just that you have a sharp mind, it is catalytic. It changes everything it comes into contact with. Every concept turns into infrastructure. Every idea turns into a wave. Success is no longer on your mind, you're building it. Additionally, the foundation you've established is unbreakable. The work of art is in motion. The architecture is coming to life. Soon, people will start asking who taught you to think that way instead of how you do it, because the workings of your mind cannot be duplicated by anyone on the planet. They can imitate your tone, follow your movements, and steal your words, but they will never be able to replicate the frequency behind them. Integration, not information, is what drives you. You apply instead of only knowing. You execute, not just plan. Every performance also challenges preconceived notions about what is feasible. This is where brilliance turns into a legacy, where thinking turns into a monument. You no longer press at. You know that every choice is an architectural decision. Every discussion is a blueprint. Timelines are affected by every execution. The difference between you and them is clarity. They react to circumstance. You create sequence. They look for an advantage. You use leverage and reasoning to create inevitability. Your intelligence has been transformed into an infrastructure that continues to grow without collapsing. The outcomes are now indisputable. The projects that were previously limited to your notes are now coming to life. Reality is now being shaped by the patterns that plagued your thoughts. People are able to detect it. The logic in your stillness, the assurance in your delivery, the precision in your presence. They are aware that something is unusual, but they are unable to pinpoint it. They refer to it as luck, talent, or intuition. However, you are aware, it is mastery. Repetition, awareness, and unrelenting optimization are the keys to mastery. Molecule by molecule, you have been crafting greatness until brilliance became your default setting. You call it math, but most people call it luck. You study probability long enough to understand that the well-prepared are more likely to succeed. You've practiced success until it became second nature to you. No longer pursue results. You anticipate them. Your actions are the compass, and your thoughts are the coordinates. And life can't resist lining up with you because of how precisely you move. You always prevail because of this. You designed yourself for perfect execution, not out of partiality. They can never comprehend your ability to look so far ahead. It appears to be magic to them, but it's only clarity to you. Your brain has been trained to simultaneously zoom in and out so you can read even the smallest information while analyzing the entire area. The hallmark of a smart strategist is dual awareness. You see the destination and the detour simultaneously, so you're never lost. You could discern pattern even if you were placed into chaos. Your mind functions that way. Disorder is arranged until even chaos complies. And that's what most terrifies people. You think you never rush, but you always get there first. You have more impact, even though you say less. Your self-assurance is not noise. It's knowledge that has been subtly validated throughout time. You didn't have to declare your brilliance. Eventually, the world makes the connections on its own. It then recognizes that you were never in competition. Everyone else was competing in an environment that you were creating. The pinnacle of self-awareness, including all of your strengths, weaknesses, and instincts. You've read them all. Nothing can now surprise you because of this. Self-analysis has become self-armor. You are able to change course without becoming alarmed, bounce back without regressing, and watch without becoming engrossed. By developing self-mastery, you have neutralized manipulation. Your adversaries burn out because of this. They are battling a mind that is stopped believing. Perception is now the source of your power. Opportunities are visible to you before they are made public. Before the handle ever turns, you can sense when timing is right, when energy is changing, and when a door is about to open. You've combined intuition and reason until they act as a single force. The ability to feel and calculate at the same time is the rarest kind of intelligence. It's the reason your presence recalibrates entire rooms. Your timing seems flawless, and your words have a deeper impact. It was a trait shared by all great thinkers throughout history, the combination of instinct and intelligence. The same dualism that you possess now was born by Leonardo, Tesla, Da Vinci, and Einstein. However, access is what sets you apart. You are not limited by time or space. You have digital tools. You have a world reach. You are doing You are a contemporary polymath, the real-time prototype of evolved intelligence. With modern electronics, the same spark that led the masters of the past now flows through you. Nothing feels accidental anymore because of this. Every relationship, every concept, every innovation feels planned because it is. You smile when others ask you what motivates you, since you know it's alignment rather than ambition. You are no longer seeking approval. You're trying to be kind of it. You become text. Every task, concept, and obstacle presents an opportunity to hone your skills. You don't want to be praised. You yearn for accuracy. Followers are not what you want. Frameworks that survive you are what you want. That is what distinguishes endurance from brilliance. And the outcomes that are happening all around you are already writing your legacy. Take a look at your current position. You are being quoted by those who used to mistrust you. Those who made fun of your discipline are attempting to follow your habits. Your process is now studied like scripture by the same audience that disregarded your talent. That is progress-based poetic justice. You never took revenge. You just became more sophisticated. You failed to provide an explanation. You carried it out. You are therefore untouchable, because outcomes put an end to rumors more quickly than debates could. This is your command era. There is gravity to every notion on it. The measure of intelligence is now redefined by each action you take. You've demonstrated that being the most attractive voice isn't the definition of genius. It's about having the most thoughtful mind. And you are precisely that, thoughtful. You decide when to act, move, speak, and vanish. You know that the unseen hand of success is time. Additionally, you have perfect timing because your mind and intuition are in harmony. Isn't that almost unjust? How simple it is to overcome what immobilizes others. How effortlessly your mind makes connections between seemingly unrelated things. However, that's how brilliance feels. It makes the seemingly improbable become commonplace. You've attained the point at which thought itself turns into creation. You plan, you envision, and the universe reorganizes to fit your blueprint. People are unable to keep up because of this. They are responding to a reality that you have a PPU got to do with. The epitome of mental autonomy is you. Your internal rhythm is no longer dictated by anything outside of yourself. It's not the world that has changed. Rather, it's your mind. You have separated from delusion and substituted comprehension. You don't break when things go wrong because of this. All you do is recalibrate. Adversity is no longer a form of punishment. It's data. Your collection of wisdom grows with either you succeed or you gain knowledge. Another way to succeed is to learn, and you've maintained your groundedness throughout. The most intriguing aspect is that, when they become more conscious, most people become less humble. However, you've made humility a lens that helps you see clearly. You are aware that every genius who loses sight of gratitude eventually succumbs to ego. You now know how to strike a balance between self-assurance and curiosity. You're never complacent, but you're proud. You rejoice. But don't stop. Your evolution is hence limitless. Therefore, it's observation rather than hyperbole when they refer to you as a mastermind. You deserve that distinction because of your depth, discipline, and design. Your own ascent is something you have designed. Nobody other can answer the equation that is you. You are now the standard for what occurs when intelligence and purpose are combined. The world will soon use your name as an example of strategic evolution. Not by accident, not by chance, but by decision. Because brilliance is guidance rather than noise. And the path that others are only starting to envision has already been mapped out by you, the clever thinker. You don't adhere to fads. You predict changes. You create opportunities rather than searching for them. The rarest art of all has been mastered by you. Thinking at a peak, you always prevail because of this. You were made to show what mastery looks like in action, not because you desire to rule. You are evidence that nothing on earth can thwart the full alignment of the human intellect. The world hasn't yet realized the full extent of your genius, so keep developing, improving, and progressing. The architecture is vibrant, the foundations are solid, and the mind behind it all keeps growing. Keep in mind this last fact. Nobody on the planet can think the way you do, and that's precisely how it was supposed to be.